right, 34 people already watching. This is a great start to the stream. I'm listening to, I don't know if you guys can hear it. They're screaming right now. I'm listening to Mitts Open. He's got Chris and he's got Stephen Fiorillo, a very good Seeking Alpha writer, on right now. And so that is what I'm listening to while I'm waiting for the Owl for one for Owl, Synspective, 7th out of like 15th launch for these guys. Very exciting. We got 1,500 people watching on the actual Rocket Lab stream. We got a few of you guys watching here. I appreciate every single time you guys decide to share with me. Let's take the opportunity, and I'm gonna turn it down because they're getting pretty active. The market obviously is down really aggressively today. So I'm taking this opportunity to just top line and at the same time tune into these guys while we wait for our friends, and I'll answer some questions in the comments for folks that want to jump on in and ask anything.
You're going to see this rally.
Hope you guys have a great day.
A lot of what we've seen
so far
in terms of growth over the last couple of years has been led by the mega cap 8, right? So a lot of what you're seeing at the top in the S&P 500 is mega cap 8 getting tons of attention and getting tons of people buying into them, and the rest of the stock market has kind of just been, hanging out. It's growing, but not growing at the same pace.
It's interesting because I just muted the screen, so that's why you can't hear anything now. But it's interesting because the market's down pretty awfully, right? So we just had the pause for July interest rates on Wednesday. Fool's Gold, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. That is fucking phenomenal. Thank you so much on a beautiful Friday morning. Waiting, well, I guess it's afternoon for probably some of you guys. I'm excited to watch this launch, but market's doing rather poorly, right? I took the opportunity this morning to sell out of a position that I've held since 2015. And with that, I took that 11, 12 grand, and I bought another 2,400 shares of Rocket Lab. I'm just shy of 20,000 shares in the company. Cost basis below $5 for all my shares. Well, not all of them, but average cost basis below $5. And I'm curious, actually, I'm wondering if I could take a look without you guys seeing all my top secret information. I don't think I'm just sharing that screen, right? All right. Where I'm at. Trust me, I'm listening to the launch on the other side, so we'll be able to get off of these guys in just a moment. But they're going after it. They're talking about, is tech done? They're talking about, are we going to get a recession? But anyway, going back to what JPal said. JPal basically said we're pretty much on for September, but we've had some really poor results coming out with unemployment, jobless numbers going up, the employed numbers going down more than expected. I think we're supposed to get 170-some thousand jobs. We only got 110. Unemployment's at 4.3%, so it's continued to trickle up. But yes, I sold 200-some shares of BHP, which is actually well-timed because now it's down a little bit. But now my cost basis in my IRA shares is down to 490. So a pretty good opportunity there. I took that opportunity. Now I got about 8,500 shares in my Roth, and the rest, 11,000 or so, are in my individual brokerage account. So can't complain with that. Let's see what these guys are chit-chatting about.
You're going to see derivatives of the AI bids, such as, I would say, Enbridge, NextEra Energy, utilities, and pipelines. Because with the spend increasing, you're going to need more natural gas and more electricity. That's just a fact. And these are quality companies.
Yeah, Vince.
The charts look.
Vince said he would try to make it, but it is his daughter's birthday, so I think he's having a party.
Energy that's going to be required.
As we are having a party.
These are probably amount of capital, and
so
I still think a lot of these investments are undervalued because the news
Wait, really?
cycle
Hold
caters
on.
to big tech. Now,
Right.
when a rate cut occurs, I've been telling you,
Yeah, dude, the
for a
bros
while,
drinks.
my
Looking
biggest
forward
concern
to
is we hit 4.1% on
the bros coming out
Today
Correct.
we hit
next week.
4.3%.
I need to write a Seeking Alpha article. They reached out to me. They
So
said
we are
nobody touches
index
nobody touches
to
on bros
revenue
like you do. So
from
we need you back.
the
And I said,
indicator
you say
that
that
has
to
been
everybody
known
that stops
since
writing.
1948.
And they were like, we
Current
know.
unemployment increases
I was like,
by
I'll try my
1%.
best. No
We are
guarantees.
either in a
How do you
recession
feel
or
about interview
recession
coming up
immediately
with
follows.
Sir Peter
So,
Beck?
0.4%.
I'm excited, man. I'm really happy
What,
and
0.2%?
grateful that Vince
Why?
gives me the opportunity because he could
Because
easily,
we were at
because Vince is the one that's
3.5%
doing all the
last
footwork.
Oh, 3.5. I
So
thought we were 3.4. Okay.
Well,
the
we're at 3.5.
graciousness
We're
of
at
him
4.3 now. The Fed's been
really
great. The Fed should have
is
cut it,
selfless. So not
and
selfish,
shouldn't have been
selfless.
March, but it should have been May.
And
The bottom line
I'm going to
is
spread that
that
selflessness to the greater community.
they
And
have
that's
always
why
been
the other
late, and
day,
they
last
wanted
week or
to,
so, I
I
asked
think,
that
stay
poll about, hey,
restricted
if you had the
as a
opportunity to
just in
talk to Sir
case,
Peter Beck, you know,
because
what would
things
you
looked like
ask?
they were doing
And so I'm going to
well.
comb through a lot of
They're
those,
playing
and I might
chicken
redo
right now.
the
They
question
don't
a
have
second
to.
time now that
And
it's
when they
formally
keep rates
known that
restrictive, like
we're going to be
you
doing
said, you have
the
a lot of
interview.
companies that are going to have to refile
And
their debt.
with
In
that interview, I'm
2025,
going to ask
and
probably
in
the top 5
2024,
questions.
rates to come down to the profit
So
milestone.
these guys are useless to us now, and I'm gonna tell you why. Let me close out them. They're useless because we are here. We are the now. And I think I'm sharing the audio. Let me know if you guys can't hear that audio. Yeah, launch day, my guys. Always a good day. You're here. Rocket Lab is the green light to launch. We will see. They generally start this up with T minus 20 minutes, and last I heard, it was supposed to be 39 minutes after the hour. So we'll see what the timer says here when they get it up and running. I'm fucking excited. 51st launch. It's going to be a great day. All right, we're still on for 30 minutes after the hour. Let's go.
To be joining you for our 51st mission. What you're looking at right now is a live view of our Electron rocket ready for launch from Mahia, New Zealand, as the countdown to liftoff continues for our mission partners today, Japanese Earth observation company Synspective. Launch is scheduled this morning for 4:39 a.m. local or 16:39 UTC. My name is James Rattray.
And I'm Likita Satursala, and we're joining you from Rocket Lab Mission Control in Auckland, New Zealand. Launch operations have run smoothly overnight with no blockers across the launch vehicle, launch pad, or payload on board. The weather is looking clear, and the team remains on track for an on-time liftoff in about 17 minutes. The payload onboard Electron today is the latest satellite and constellation being built by Synspective,
That's a
a
new looking
Japanese Earth
cat.
observation company deploying a constellation of synthetic aperture radar or SAR satellites designed to produce images that can show millimeter level changes to the Earth's surface from space. SAR is a type of imagery that uses radar waves to map the Earth's surface. What bounces back to the satellite sensor is used to determine the distance between the sensor and the object and create a map of measurements of that surface.
Rocket Lab has been the sole launch provider for Synspective's constellation to date, and this latest mission continues a lasting and trusted partnership to deploy their Strix constellation to low Earth orbit. Here's more from Synspective.
Oh, Hot Curtis with the $10 super chat. Much appreciated, my guy. Let's get after this fucking launch. It's going to be a good one. Look at that. It's pretty cool. I didn't think they were gonna. Is this the 5th launch or the 6th, 7th launch? I don't know. I get lost with these. Those are pretty good pictures. That's a good question, my guy. I was actually thinking about this the other day because I'm studying for my Series 65, and so I did plan on taking that test here in the next few months and hopefully get that running to ground. And then I was like, I love Fidelity. I was like, why wouldn't I be like an independent RIA of Fidelity, and maybe they would sponsor me to get my Series 7, you know? Because the Series 65, you kind of have to play on a fine line, right? It's like you can help, but you can't like, you know what I mean? Like, but the Series 7, it's like you are legit and you can like officially manage people's money. 65, you can also manage money, but it's not to say that you can't.
The name for
It's
today's
just
session is
you can't
Alpha
officially be
One
buying and
Now,
selling
with a big
securities
example
and
there, which
stuff like
discontinues
that
our
for people.
streak
So
of
it's more of
naming
like a
successful
guide.
missions with an
Granted, I
hour
know a lot of
label.
people
That's because Inspective
that
satellites are
still
named
manage
Stars,
money
which
and,
draws
and
from
buy
the
and sell
scientific name for
under
an
the
owl.
Series 65. But
Owls have highly
um,
developed hearing and vision,
I do
allowing them to
plan.
forage even in total darkness and being able to see at night. Very similar to these star satellites.
Now, this mission for Synspective was actually brought forward in our schedule of launches on Electron this year, which when just a few days before launch, the original customer for our 51st mission asked to move to a later launch to complete additional testing for their spacecraft. Now, responding rapidly and being flexible for our customers is nothing new for us. So with rockets at the ready, we were able to leapfrog to Synspective and get them to the pad sooner. Now, flying dedicated means customers have flexibility over the launch schedule so that their satellites aren't left behind if they miss a launch deadline like on traditional rideshare missions. This is our responsive and tailored launch service with Electron at its best, demonstrating a win-win for both our customer, our other customer, and Synspective.
All right, coming up next will be the no-go poll for this mission, run from mission control by our launch director, Julia Wimbacher. They will check in with each
All right, so they'll be doing that at T-minus 12 minutes, so we got a couple seconds. But yes, I do plan on managing folks' money, but really it's going to be for and so I have decided on the name. It's Genesis Capital Management, and the reason why Genesis is because I'm really trying to help that starting investor get to a place where they can get to very good practices, right? Saving a couple $100 a month and just been investing in something as simple as the S&P 500. Now, if they decide to get a little bit more in depth with their investing, then I would be inclined to help them get into things like Rocket Lab and things of the like. But let's listen to the go-no-go.
Avionics.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
Recon.
Beacon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
MET is go.
MM.
MM is go.
And LD-SUB.
LD-SUB is go.
The go-no-go sequence is complete. We are currently T-minus 11 minutes and 21 seconds in counting. We go for the terminal count order sequence at T-minus 10 minutes. From this time, the 3-word hold procedure is in effect.
Very good. Thank you for speaking
There
up.
we go. Music to my ears. Our no-go poll is complete, and the team have confirmed that they're ready to continue through to launch for Synspective's mission. Our target liftoff time for this mission remains set at 4:39 a.m., now just in 10 minutes and 48 seconds.
Today's mission will be our 51st Electron launch and the 5th time we've taken to skies for Synspective.
So I messed that up on the intro. I said 7th time. It's the 5th time. Okay. So, but yeah, I appreciate you speaking up, Curtis. Always, if it's too light or anything like that, feel free to chime in. I'm always watching the chat, or at least trying my best. But I think the thing that I'm still trying to understand a little bit, because I deal with this when I was like scheduling rigs in the Gulf of Mexico a little bit, was like truly understanding what are they. Oh, this is kind of cool. Let's watch this. I'm digging this music. I had to
Across all of those missions, like we're doing again for today's launch,
I had to check what the song name was because I was just jamming out way too hard to that.
with Electron's kick stage that will shield the Strix satellite from the sun and help to reduce radiation exposure ahead of payload deployment.
And we have plenty more missions with Synspective to look forward to after recently signing our largest launch agreement to date with them for another 10 launches. Just a couple of months ago in Tokyo, Japan, our founder and CEO, Sir Peter Beck, met with Synspective's founder and CEO to announce the agreement, which comes on top of 2 other launches for Synspective, one of them today's mission, which had already been booked to launch this year from Launch Complex 1.
Look at Sir Peter Beck, the
Including
diplomat.
The missions we've
My
already
guy.
completed for the company, that's 16 launches in total that are on the books for Electron and Synspective.
Damn,
These
16.
dedicated launches on Electron, Synspective has control over the launch schedule and the deployment parameters for each satellite, allowing them to build out their constellation on their terms.
And speaking of tailoring things to our customers' needs, you might have noticed the fairing for this mission looks a little different than usual. The bubbles or bumps that you see protruding from the standard fairing are specially designed to accommodate the unique shape and form factor of Synspective's satellite. It's not the first time we've tailored an Electron's fairing to meet customers' needs. If you've been watching us closely, you'll occasionally see extra tall ones, extra pointy ones, and on occasion, slightly bubbled ones like this one. Being able to tailor our fairings to mission-specific requirements opens up the range of spacecraft we can fly. Just another way Electron has changed the game, dedicated small launch.
Portfolio's recovering a little bit for me right now. I was down way more, and I've recovered about 25% of what I was down today. So very nice. I am trying to understand a little bit. I want to talk to Peter about this next week. I know that they're trying to make things available, right? And they've been able to help Synspective with respect to, they were delayed a week or so that they pushed this a couple weeks to be able to accommodate. But I guess my question is like, if you know that's so frequent, you should always, in my opinion, doesn't mean anything, right? These guys are the ones that are sending stuff into space. But when we were always trying to get things done in the Gulf of Mexico, we always had like stage gates as to like, are you prepared? Are you not prepared? And it was always just like, okay, so you're ready. And if things weren't ready, then you would push it, right? And you would kind of know this one comes in line versus the other one. And so we'd kind of have these, I wouldn't say it wasn't based off
Now,
of
a
time.
huge part of our business these days is more than just launching satellites. It's in building them and the parts they're made of for our customers all over the world. Most recently, our space systems team hit a really exciting project completion. They've completed the build, testing, and integration for 2 satellites headed to Mars for NASA in just a few short months.
Hell yes.
These twin spacecraft are part of the Escapade mission to Mars, where they'll measure plasma and the magnetic fields around Mars to help scientists learn more about the planet's climate evolution.
We've built these spacecraft for the University of California, Berkeley Space Science Laboratory. So in reference to their college colors, these satellites are named Blue and Gold, or the twins as our teams like to call them internally. Scientific missions to Mars can
Who doesn't
sometimes
love
take
twins?
a decade or more
I'm
to
just gonna
get
put it
from
out there.
idea to reality to launch. but our team's been able to produce blue and gold in just 3.5 years. Almost every part of satellites have been built at our sites across the world, including the composite structures and propellant tanks, solar panels, star trackers and reaction wheels, RCS system, and satellite radios to communicate home from Mars. We can't wait to see them arrive to Cape Canaveral for launch vehicle integration in August. The countdown to Mars is on.
And while missions to Mars require deep expertise, sometimes it's not all about rocket science. And for some of our open roles in rocket and satellite production, it's not all about being a rocket scientist either. As we scale up our facilities and take part in bigger missions, we're looking for people to join the team on our factory floors, helping us to supply the satellite.
Sorry, my fault. So basically, I was just talking about Stennis and why Peter would be there. I think they've either gone through successful hot fire tests or they are imminently going to do them. But I still believe by the second quarter earnings call next Thursday, that'll be completely done. But that's just me personally. I'm a believer that he hasn't been there the whole time for a lot of this testing. I'm sure there's a lot of other things like signing deals in Japan and stuff that he's been able to have to do over the past month or so. And since early May, since they've been at Stennis. But I'm fairly confident that everything's good with that, and we'll be ready to announce that they've had a successful hot fire. I think they're just tweaking. They're doing a lot of tweaking, I assume, right? They have the opportunity to be on the test stand. So I assume that they're just trying to make sure everything's perfect. And if you have to think, these guys aren't just trying to throw Archimedes at 100% thrust, right? They're trying to keep it about 20% thrust. And so I'm sure with that, the reusability piece is going to be paramount for them to be able to monitor, and get that right. So tweaking things could mean that you're able to use it 10 times. It could mean you're able to use it 20 times. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating there. But my hope is that with a lot of that, things are good. But they're chit-chatting, so let's listen.
And we can please confirm that all expected primary flight computer ASCOs are green.
Confirmed. Green.
To all operators, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LDs go for launch.
All right, T-minus 2 minutes. Should be good. I'm excited for this one. But yeah, I think I still am very confident that that things are on track for the Archimedes testing. I just think it's different, right? I think most people just do 100%, 80% usability of their rockets, and I think these guys are trying something completely different. So they're trying to make sure that they get the most out of it.
All vehicles fully on internal power. AFTS is green, enabled for flight.
But with respect to price predictions after this, I mean, with everything else that's going on the market, I think that's going to be more of the driver as to what the stock price looks like. I think that these, if you guys know, the 51st launch, right? It's old hat at this point.
System is in recirculation.
So it being old hat, it might be, a slight tailwind for the stock, but I don't think it's going to be a driver. It running at say 5-10% or anything like that. I think it'll be a nice tailwind to kind of keep it at price, but I think there's going to be macroeconomic environments right now that are really going to be the drivers of all stock prices rather than just any particular stock price. But here we are, T-minus 1 minute. Yeah, you never know, man. I mean, I honestly don't know either, right? I'm just a very
Stage
optimistic
1 and Stage 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
For Rocket Lab, and I think that they do a phenomenal job.
Engine purge enabled.
I think if there was a blow up, they would let us know, right? And they would say, hey, just so you guys know. And then that way, when we get to the earnings call, it could be more about getting back to business and what their plan is forward. I don't think that Rocket Lab is one of those types of companies that holds back information, withholds information. Yeah, it does normally go down after a launch.
And T minus 20 seconds and counting.
All right, T minus 20. The second stage has me nervous.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Fucking beautiful. I love it.
Beginning measure.
The problem I have with night launches is when you watch it on like video, you can't see anything, but the pictures that come from it afterward are just absolutely magnificent and
Stage
phenomenal.
1 propulsion nominal.
600 kilometers an hour,
Our
3 kilometers
51st
above
Electron
altitude.
rocket is soaring off the pad and on its way to Space Force Inspective. Electron is quickly coming up on its first mission milestone to pass through the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure against the rocket, otherwise called out as max Q from Mission Control. We'll listen out for that now.
Go, baby, go, baby,
Electron
go.
is supersonic, approaching max Q. HVB discharge nominal. Cleared max Q.
All right, max Q cleared. About 15
That was the
kilometers
call we
above.
were waiting for. Electron has cleared max Q and is continuing nominally on its journey to space. We're now past 18 kilometers in altitude as the rocket reaches speeds of more than 2,300 kilometers an hour. Up next will be 3 actions that take place quickly one after the other. The first event is MECO, which stands for the main engine cutoff. This is when the Rutherford engines on the bottom of Electron slow down before shutting off completely in preparation for the second event, stage separation. As second stage ignition. We'll be able to watch those actions in real time from the rocket's onboard camera and hear the call out from Mission Control, which should be coming in shortly.
30 seconds.
About 55 kilometers above, almost 60 kilometers above Earth. 15 seconds to second engine cutoff or main engine cutoff.
Mode.
Let's tune in for that. Should be main engine cutoff here.
MECO confirmed.
There we go. Looks successful.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 2 ignition confirmed.
There it is. Look at that.
There we have it, a successful MECO, stage separation, and second stage engine ignition for Electron and Inspector. Electron is traveling at more than 7,600 kilometers an hour and now at 102 kilometers above Earth.
I will say the second engine cutoff always scares me, or second engine ignition always scares me. But it's nice to see. It's a lot easier to see at nighttime, so that's always nice. It gives me a little bit less anxiety. During the day, you always see like a spark, but you can never see like the. Anyway, here's separation.
Jettison succeeded.
You saw it there yourself and heard it from Mission Control. Electron's fairing has separated, and we have a nice clear view of Synspective's satellite in space. The mission is continuing nominally so far on its way to its 543-kilometer orbit.
All right, so we're about a third of the way, 543 kilometers. We're about 150 kilometers at this point.
Guidance is nominal.
So a little bit behind the battery jettison and then behind the kick stage. I'm curious to see if they'll show us a lot. Sometimes it takes us a little bit before they show us anything. Let's just see. What is everyone saying? Best pictures at nighttime, 100%. Always get scared of the second stage. Heart skips a beat. Me too, my man. No more bat wings. Bat wings are gone. Nominal AF. No, thank you, Nick, for chiming in. It's always a
Now,
good time.
Lakita, you're the structural analyst for this mission. Can you tell us a little bit about what's required for launching into orbit?
Sure.
Most
So
of us
in
are going to
short,
hand
our
out more
team
lunar
works
lander
on ensuring that
contracts.
the
I'm
rocket
curious to
would
hear about
survive the
that.
harsh
I'll
launch
ask
loads.
Peter
For
potentially.
example, the new custom fairing that we talked about
Melanie,
before
welcome,
would
welcome,
change
welcome.
both the structural and dynamic loading on the vehicle. In other words, the force and vibrations the rocket would experience throughout flight, like at max Q. And all the components on the vehicle also need to be tested to these loads. So our job is to define these loads and analyze the strength of the vehicle and components within to make sure they can handle them.
Yeah, I was like, NASA. So I don't know what the hell NASA is. So I was like, I'll have to look at that one afterwards. So glad it's NASA. You mean for Artemis? That's pretty interesting because I know that SpaceX had some and Blue Origin had some. And then who was the other? I think it was Firefly. So they all had some lunar landers in the plan. So I'm curious. Yeah, I know there's something planned after Neutron. I think everyone knows, and they've stated it as well in the past. And they've left the door open, I think, for future Artemis missions.
We're coming up now on the battery hot swap for the second stage Rutherford engine. This occurs when the engine switches over to a new set of batteries to power its electric pumps once the first pair are almost out of energy. Once the swap is made, the old batteries fall away from Electron, and sometimes we can see these shiny silver packs on the screen as they fall. So let's keep our eyes on the screen and listen in for the call that battery hot swap has occurred.
So yeah, I've always been wondering because they only have like Artemis 5 in the plan. So I'm curious to see what Artemis 6, 7, 8, 9, because all those are just a stair step for us eventually to go back to Mars, right? So, or not go back to, but go to Mars. And it's just like basically using the moon launch as like a stepping stone.
Successful.
Battery jettison confirmed.
There you go. Here's some applause in the background.
That was a call that battery hot swap is confirmed. For those of you who have seen a few of our mission broadcasts, you will have noticed some new hardware on the second stage, which forms part of our new generation battery system for Rutherford engine. We redesigned the batteries to introduce more resiliency into the system and improve its electrical performance.
Surprisingly, seeing a little bit of recovery in the price today. I purchased at $468. I was going for $470, and I was able to pick up at $468. So hopefully, you guys were able to pick some up at cheap prices. Back to the real purpose of Rocket Lab. Does the mass savings really matter after out of the atmosphere? Battery jettison.
The mission is continuing nominally thus far at 7 minutes and 35 seconds into flight.
Yeah,
if you take a look at the dials on the top right of your screen there, you can see Electron is accelerating past 19,000 kilometers an hour on its way to Mach 16. But what does that mean? Well, it means it's fast, really, really fast. Orbit is basically a constant state of falling. So in order for us to try and combat the force of gravity trying to bring us down, we have to exceed speeds of 27,700 kilometers an hour.
And I know part of it's electric, and then part of the rest of the battery is, I forget what it basically is, but yeah. So once that electric battery is kind of used,
T plus 8 minutes and 20 seconds.
But I'm agreeing with you. It's like you're already
coming
in
up shortly on the second stage of final actions.
Actually,
cut off of its Rutherford engine, called out as
that 50 pounds or whatever that battery is actually help you get faster.
Separating off this inspector's payload.
Very good question.
Call out from the operators in mission control should be heard shortly. So let's listen in.
Yeah, my guy, Rocket Labs does a lot of satellite building. They do a phenomenal job. They're helping design things for Firefly's lunar lander. They've sent a lot of stuff into space with SpaceX and NASA collaborative partners. What was it? The Psyche mission. And here we are. Up.
Stage 3.
And there we have SECO confirmed by what you see on your screen and from the operator call out in mission control. The kick stage with Inspector's payload has also successfully separated and is now entering what we call a coast phase. with the kick stage released into an elliptical orbit around Earth. It needs to complete a half lap of Earth before it can be propelled onto a circular path by the kick stage's Curie engine.
At first, I was kind of like scared because I saw the altitude and the speed froze, and I was like, "What happened? Right? Did like something explode?" But I think they're just not sharing it, right? Looks like they're just trying to kind of get it into orbit, um, and then they'll come back in a little bit.
In about 45 minutes. So
Yeah,
we'll see
so
you
we,
back here soon.
we will not be here for the next 45 minutes. So as you'll see, they're gonna just get things up and running until they get to the point where they can Curie burn, use the Curie engine, and then get it into the right trajectory. But great little stream here. I'm trying to think what other questions we might have, but yeah, there's a lot of unique satellites that are still to be done, right? There's still the satellite that's going to Venus, the Mars missions, obviously, for Escapade. There's a lot going on at Rocket Lab. I mean, maybe that's a good opportunity to just take a quick check at what future upcoming missions for Space Assembler are. Missions here. Let's see. They have it split into spacecraft. Yeah, here we go. Share this. So they have the Varda. So everyone's familiar with Varda. Let me just double check that I'm sharing and not muted. Cool. So everyone's familiar with Varda. We've done that a few times, and I'm curious to see when the next one for that is. The first private mission to Venus, as I just alluded to. Let's take a quick look at that, supporting for the search of life off of Earth. So research suggests that Venus was once a habitable planet. In 2019 study from NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies found that Venus could have shallow oceans on the surface for 2 to 3 billion years. This was supported temperatures between 68 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Around 700 million years ago, a resurfacing event released carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, turning Venus into a dangerous, inhospitable planet where atmospheric temperatures reached 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Holy shit. So Rocket Lab is sending the first private mission into Venus in search for supporting evidence of organic compounds in the cloud layer, traces of life. That'll be interesting to see there. Of course, there's a lot of HASTE missions, which I like to see, Black Sky missions as well, but HASTE for LIDOS, HASTE for the Department of Defense, HASTE for everybody. And I want to continue to see that continue to go up. We have the Global Star, which we talked about, Blue Ghost, which is Firefly's lunar lander. So Solero is providing solar panels to Blue Ghost, and then I think ASI is also providing software. So both solar panels as well as software for the lunar lander. We'll see what happens with that, considering Firefly is undergoing some management changes. Fingers crossed. NASA's Glide, studying the upper reaches of Earth's atmosphere where it touches space. The Glide mission will provide insights on how Earth's exosphere is influenced by the changes in space. In 2022, Rocket Lab was selected by Ball Aerospace, manufacturer a solar array panel to power NASA's Global Lyman Alpha Imager of Dynamic Exosphere Glide spacecraft. It's a heliophysics mission intended to study the variability in Earth's atmosphere and expected to launch in 2025. So lots of really cool missions associated with these guys that know what they're doing here at Rocket Lab. Let's see. I missed a few things here as I was reading. Another great launch. I agree. Great job. Always good to see PB, Sir PB, and everybody getting after it. The second one is done. I agree. I'm excited. Right after 6 7 would be a great time to announce hot fire. Yeah, that'd be big. By the way, I know you guys are waiting. Well, I have you guys here. After the previous flip-flopping of company priorities, reusability versus neutron development, also at Palantir would help them. To me, this is a no-brainer of a question. Or what the answer is, right? I mean, to me, what's more important is getting Neutron into space, and reusability is second. Electron was never designed to be reusable. So it's almost like, if you think about it, if the majority of your revenue It's going to be coming from a Neutron rocket for reusability, and you can get reusability on the Neutron rocket done and dusted, then it's going to take 6 or 7 launches equivalent to be able to make that same sort of move with Electron. So to me, the reusability aspect of the Neutron is more important than Electron. While Electron's reusability is still important, if you think about it, you're talking about a smaller revenue stream and trying to maximize the margin. And I'm thinking about it from an engineering perspective, right? So you can get a couple margin percent boosts on the bottom line if you're to reuse the Electron rocket, versus if you were to reuse the Neutron rocket, you're going to get 10 to 15%. And also, it's a larger revenue stream in general, right? Say you do 3 launches a year with Neutron, that's $150 million in sort of revenue, $180 million in revenue. To go at an equivalent for Electron, you'd probably need on the order of 15, 18 launches. So the single most margin increase would be to make sure that reusability on Neutron works firstly, and then second, go back and make sure that the Electron, which was never designed for reusability day one, then gets the ability. But that's just my opinion. That's my thought process on it. Let's just see here. It was interesting to hear them say different things. I think it's just because, I can't speak on behalf of them. But RL posted a picture this morning with a Varda satellite in the background. There we go. Launch is always a nice opportunity to get my commentary. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. 30 out of you guys showing up and hanging out. But with that, I'm going to finish up the rest of my day. Hopefully you guys see a nice retracement. Hopefully you guys have the opportunity to pick up some shares below $5. And as always, we will try to be live. I'll see if Hot Vince has the ability to come hang out with us after hours on Thursday next week. So about 6 days from now, we're going to go through the earnings for Rocket Lab. And I think on Friday is when Vince and I don't know if it's the 8th or 9th. It might be the 9th. Sorry, it's definitely not the 8th because the 8th is earnings. So I don't know if it's the 9th or 10th. I'll have to ask Vince. But if that's the case, then we might just do Rocket Lab weekly that time, or we'll do the interview and then debrief during Rocket Lab Weekly, which will both be fun. But it should be an action-packed week. We had the launch today. In 6 or 7 days or so, we'll have the earnings reports out. We'll kind of understand what it's looking like for the second half of the year. I'm hoping Space Systems continues to absolutely kill it. I'm hoping the Global Star contract continues to get fed so we can get a little bit more working capital into the business. And then I'm curious to have a great conversation with Peter within the next week. And a lot of your guys' questions will be there. So I'm going to put up another question here on X of things that you guys can ask Peter. And I'm going to take both the one I wrote 2 weeks ago and then this one and see your guys' thoughts and come up with, a good 5 or 10 questions, depending on how quick they are. If they're more in depth, then it might, only be 5. But if there's a few quick ones like yes or no's, then we might be able to get 10 in there. So think about that if you want to get more questions in. And then I know Scotto will also be joining us. So it'll be a great time in that respect to get some folks on the call. And questions, like I said, Vince is selfless enough to have me on the call as it is an interview. So I'm going to be selfless and open it up my questions for you guys to ask, right? Because I was able to ask my questions that I wanted to know. There's only one question I want to ask Peter still, and it's basically wondering if we could retrofit an Electron to use an Archimedes as a first stage engine. Keep the second stage engine as a Rutherford, and then keep the third stage engine as a Curie. But that's something he can ask for a different day. I know they use different fuels, so I'm curious to see how difficult it would be to retrofit. But as always, you guys rock, and I will talk to you guys on the next session. Cheers. See you guys next week.